Breaking news out of the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers have hired Brian Flores as a senior defensive assistant and linebackers coach. The former Dolphins head coach spent the past 3 seasons in Miami before he was fired in January. Flores is currently suing the NFL and 3 teams, including the Dolphins, alleging racial discrimination in the hiring process. And Florence, welcome in CBS Sports NFL insider Jonathan Jones. Jonathan, what more can you tell us about the Steelers' decision to hire Brian Flores?
Yeah, well, this is very clearly a Mike Tomlin decision to hire Brian Flores, and that's a luxury that Mike Tomlin has by virtue of never having a losing record. It is a luxury afforded to him by the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, always been an open-minded organization, of course, when it comes to minority coaching and interviewing those coaches. We know about the Rooney Rule, a lot of conversations about that rule over the past few weeks and certainly over the past 2 decades about its effectiveness. But we have Brian Flores, who, as you mentioned, of course, and obviously suing the National Football League. He has named the New York Giants and the Denver Broncos in his suit. The Pittsburgh Steelers are technically a part of that suit because they are a John Doe defendant in that. But Brian Flores, now a coach again in the NFL. You know, he was up for a couple of different positions, the head coaching job with the Houston Texans. He was reportedly a finalist. How real that ultimately was, talking with different people, they'll tell you different things, of course. And then, of course, he interviewed with the New Orleans Saints as well. And so now he winds up, make no mistake about it, while he's still and back in the NFL, this is a lesser position. This is not a position that a man who went back-to-back winning seasons with any NFL team normally takes. But this is the reality of the situation. Mike Tomlin has made the decision to bring him on, and Brian Flores obviously accepted the job as senior defensive assistant.
Jonathan, speaking about the legal situation, where does that stand right now involving Flores?
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually have a little bit of background on that the race discrimination case, class action lawsuit, will continue to be prosecuted to the fullest extent in order to effectuate change so badly needed. That is a source close to Brian Flores, who just got back to me very, very recently. And so the suit still stands. According to that, Brian Flores will and wants to see that through. I would have to imagine that was communicated to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, as, of course, he had also communicated that to other teams during the interview process before he filed that suit. So according to a source close to Brian Flores, that suit will continue. Brian Flores does anticipate seeing that through, and so we will certainly see where it goes from here.
Certainly puts him in the head coaching cycle hiring process for next season. Certainly wants to stay firmly in the mix there if another head coaching position opens up. What does this hire mean for the Steelers when you consider the caliber of coach they're getting in Brian Flores?
Well, it's big for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think there's any question about that. And talking around with sources around the league, they're happy for Brian Flores. The coaches and executives that I spoke with someone in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization who expressed excitement over the Brian Flores hire. And so this makes the team better because this is a fantastic head coach, a fantastic coach, and you're getting a head coach as a senior defensive assistant. Now, again, I say all that, again, to answer your question, but in the same breath, we do need to make extremely and extraordinarily clear, Brian Flores is wildly overqualified for this position. Brian Flores has the resume to be a head coach in the NFL with one of the 32 organizations. He was fired by the Miami Dolphins for reasons that I'm still not entirely sure about, that he had poor bedside manner or whatever you want to call it. This is a guy who, on paper, and if you talk to people around who know Brian Flores, if you saw the tweets, the Instagram posts, the quotes from his now former players, the current Miami Dolphins, who spoke very highly of him as a head coach, that Brian Flores should absolutely still be a head coach in the NFL, if not the Miami Dolphins, then somewhere else in the league. And so the fact that he is not a defensive coordinator, the fact that he is not even a full-time position coach, but that he is a senior defensive assistant While I believe we should be celebrating that he has not been effectively blackballed from the NFL, as many anticipated, he very well may be. That he does have a job in the NFL is probably something to be celebrated. But we also have to keep in focus and in perspective the fact that he is, again, wildly overqualified for this position. But good on the Pittsburgh Steelers and that organization. Good on Mike Tomlin. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a better team today because they have Brian Flores in that role than they were yesterday.
Jonathan, great perspective. Jonathan Jones, CBS Sports senior NFL insider with the very latest here on CBS Sports HQ. Jonathan, thank you. And Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin had this to say, quote, "I am excited about Brian Flores joining our coaching staff given his history of developing and teaching defensive players during his time in the NFL." He went on to say, "Brian's resume speaks for itself, and I look forward to him adding his expertise to help our team," end quote.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.